I'm bad at intros because I ramble too much, so hopefully I keep it short and sweet. What I'm making here is a quilt for my niece who's turning 1 in a couple weeks. And this fabric that I found was at a local quilt shop, and it gave a lot of the wishes that I want for my niece as she grows older. The plan for the quilt is for me to use half square triangles, pretty much made with all 100% cotton, including the batting, the only exception being the bias binding. The bias binding is some blend, polyester cotton blend. However, the fabric I'm using for the half square triangles, 100% cotton black fabric and 100% cotton white fabric, or kind of like this cream colored fabric with Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Kanga, and Roo, Eeyore, and Tigger. For some reason, I didn't have rabbit or owl in there. Anyway, what I'm doing in these clips is I am actually ironing the fabric for the backing, because that's the smart thing to do after you've washed your fabric, especially if you don't want it to shrink. So, cool story. Right now, I am recording this kind of at least a month after everything is done. So right now, you're going to hear a couple of dogs in the background. I am with my mother, helping her with her hip surgery. But in these clips, I went online and I found these 10-inch rulers, also 6-inch rulers, and conveniently, it makes making these quilts so much easier. So the plan is to make everything fit in this 10-inch ruler, half square triangles and all. And so when I finished cutting up everything with the backing fabric, and kind of using the backing fabric as kind of like the guide for the side of the quilt, is that I ended up with a rectangle that was roughly 70 inches tall by 50 inches wide, maybe a little bigger than that, because I also found these cute little 4-inch by 4-inch square fabric stack. I'll get to those later and show you what those look like towards the end of the video, but that's what I'm doing here, to cut up everything for the backing fabric so I can do what's called a quilt as you go. It's ideal if you have like a small machine and you can't really afford to take it to like a big quilting machine shop where they can quilt that whole thing for you, because it can be like on the low end for a queen size quilt, it's like $200 something or more, and for this size quilt it's probably going to be like at least $150. So I don't have the money, nor do I have the time for it. So quilt as you go. Here we go. This requires a lot of pressing, but this is what I mean by, like, look at how cute. You have Kanga, Roo, Tigger, Eeyore, definitely Winnie, and then there's Piglet. So, I think this has already been washed on high heat and pre-shrunk. So at this point, I'm more worried about pressing it, but I know the quilter's due diligence is to press your seams everywhere, but like, literally the only thing I can do to like really help me out here is to try to measure accurately. I hate basting, but it is so important to do. So I found years ago, I found out that there's this interfacing that's got like a dual glue side, and I like it because you can cut it down to size. You can buy like bigger sheets. This is just one I found on Amazon. I think I'll link the stuff I have. I'm too small of a creator to make any money off of this, so I mean, if you buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. What I like about it is that you cut it down to size, and then you lay your fabric wrong side against one side of it, and make sure everything is lined up. The number one thing you want to avoid though is to make sure that it doesn't really touch your iron. It is a sticky material, so it will gunk your iron up if you don't like it. And I just steam press. Some of it must have gone on my iron, that's why it's not gliding as smoothly. And just like that, it's like one unit. Now, you see how like you're stuck together enough that it's fine. And then you just trim it down to size, making sure not to cut the fabric you're actually going to use. And then that's it. That's what I do. Because I hate basting. I really don't like basting. But it's so important that you baste, so that way your fabric doesn't shift or things doesn't move. I like this method if you have, if you intend to do like free motion quilting. I've done that with this method before. One more good steam press. There, one big unit of a piece, and there we go. That's how I do it. So here is the plan moving forward. Now that I've gotten all of my half square triangles cut up, basically part of the ruler kit that I used, I'll attach all the links to the ruler kit below in the description, but I think I used a 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch ruler. It might have been a 6.5 inch. Either way, I used that and cut a whole bunch of squares with black fabric and that Winnie the Pooh fabric earlier. And now I'm just pressing them out at this point. So the problem with when you're doing a lighter fabric and a darker fabric together is that the darker fabric will show through the lighter fabric. So one of the things that I keep in mind whenever I'm pressing is I thoroughly press the seam allowance, which is a 1/4 inch, to the black fabric. So you see me like struggling to remember to do that the entire time. I was indeed successful, so that's great, but that's something to keep in mind when you're doing a lighter fabric and a darker fabric. Make sure you press all of the seam allowances to the dark side of the fabric. So what is unseen in this clip is that what I did when I first ironed everything, I really thought about how I layered all of these fabric pieces together. And so the backing fabric, the cool little thing is I made sure the backing fabric lined up with each other to almost like they were cut at all. Seam allowances still kind of get in the way for the most part. Like everything on the backing fabric matches. But in this clip, I'm marking like the exact centers of these squares, so that way I can make sure all of my half square triangles line up, as well as I'm marking out where the quarter seam allowances are going to be. This is a heat erasable pen, so it's not going to show. And I'm making sure that everything has like at least a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and at least for that first square. And then once everything kind of lines up, this is how I start to make like that perfect square, so that way I can get all of the diamonds to like line up with each other. So this is what I mean by lining up the half square triangles. The first like corner and the next corner to fold over. I'm going to sew that down and then press it open, and then that's how that's going to work. It's a good idea to chain stitch all of your half square triangles, but here in this clip I'm taking the time to kind of show you how I'm making the half square triangles. What I've already done was I've marked the center line of the fabrics together, and I spaced it out to where I'm going to sew roughly a 1/4 inch on either side of that center line. The half square triangles are going to pretty much have like a little gap where I can cut using my rotary cutter right down the middle. That way I can automatically create like that half square triangle without having to think too hard about making sure that everything comes out perfect. Does it still come out perfect? More than likely, no, but we're not trying to say, hey, I'm a great quilter. I'm just saying, hey, this is how I got to a quilt. But this does make things go faster and come out a little bit neater. Hopefully, as I get better at these things, maybe I do like a flying geese or something, that my stitches, my cutting ability, and the tools will improve over time. So hopefully this helps kind of like show how I did it. Remember, center line on top of your squares, and then space out a 1/4 inch on either side, stitch on either side, cut through the center line. Hopefully this helps. One of the things I forgot to mention that this entire time is that almost all of the previous clips were done in like 1 week. So we're now go time. It is now 7 days before I have to fly out to Savannah on July 10th, and that's when I'm going to see my niece to drop off her newly freshly made quilt. So what I've already done, as I've shown earlier, is I've already cut my half square triangles, and I've shown how I've placed them to start quilting them now. In order to make sure everything really does stay down, nothing bulges, looks weird, because this only works for like the first 2 or 3 seams, is I'm going to stitch in the ditch. And that's basically when you slowly stitch in between the seam of your fabric. I'm using a walking foot here because that's great for quilting, especially if you have thicker quilts. This is a very thin quilt, so I could have gotten away with a regular pressing foot, but I think the walking foot is truly helpful here. Ideally, you want to use matching thread, but I'm switching between black and white, and we don't have time for that. I'm using white 100% cotton thread to do all of the quilting and all of the stitching, and I think it'll still turn out pretty good by the end of everything. But this is how I quilt as I go, and then I'm going to show you kind of how I'm going to attach everything together when I'm done. When I was in university, one of the things that I would tell people all the time is that I'm the most hardworking, laziest person you will ever meet. And these clips show why. Okay, so one of the things that would be ideal is if you were to stitch the back of the fabric and then hand stitch the front, make a clean finish where you won't be able to really see the stitches. And again, I don't have time for that. This is what I get for doing a quilt extremely last minute. But there's a fix when there's a will. So what I did was, as I sewed each square together, I tried to make sure everything kind of lines up. Again, it's not perfect, but I'm gonna try and make it still look pretty good. And then I trim it down like to the smallest thickness that I can, because we're trying to get it through this domestic machine, and I don't have a big machine to work with. I just have what I have. So the plan is to cover up those seams with bias tape. This was a very close call. I had to order like 20 yards of bias tape on top of the black bias tape I already had. So this used up everything I have. Luckily, I have one roll left that sat unused, but this was a lot more than I expected. But it doesn't matter. It came out really nice in the end. So, here's where I talked about earlier when I said I bought these 4-inch by 4-inch square 100% cotton pre-cut pieces. It came in like a pack of 200 from Amazon, and they were multicolored and multi-fabric. The main thing is, because I was going for like 100-acre wood theme, I figured anything nature within that pack would work, which luckily majority of the pack was. So For the front of the quilt, I used the lighter colors, so like lighter pinks, pastels, squares, and then for the back, I used darker color squares. And so here's where I start to kind of show you how I intend to cover all of those raw edges, because we don't want it looking ugly for the rest of the time. Again, is my stitching perfect? No. But everything's covered, everything's enclosed, it's encased, and in perfect hands, I'm sure this would have been like a perfect quilt. Hi, so this is the next day, and I have something to show you. I'm going to step back, hopefully, because ta-da! It's done! Black and white with a pretty border. That, I don't have the wingspan wide enough, right? But there you go. It came out actually a lot better than I expected from far away. Okay, and then this is the back. It's upside down now. This is the back. It also came out pretty good. It came out pretty awesome. Look at that. And it's all quilted down. So, what's next? Yesterday I said we're working on the pillow, so that's already on the sewing machine. Long story short, what's a quillo? Okay, a quillo is basically a quilt that you fold together into a pocket. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So when I was around 9 years old, my mom thought it would be a good idea for me to learn how to quilt something. Hey, bring your kids to learn how to quilt things. So basically, a pillow is basically a pillow, right? I'll show it up close of like what it is, but pretty much it is a very simple quilt. This is something that I made when I was like 9 or 8, and back then my favorite color was yellow. So they had a whole bunch of fabric, right? They had a whole bunch of fabric, and this is yellow, because at the time my favorite color was yellow. And then I did a bunch of and I chose the rainbow flowers, right? This is the quilt pocket, right here, towards the bottom. There it is. And you would fold it into itself. Now, some of it's kind of ripping apart, because we're talking about something I made when I was like 8, 9, right? But the thing still stands, right? So how was it like quilted down? Easy. See these little ties? Here it is. There's these all over the place. And so it's essentially a tie quilt. That's what it is. And then, and see, like, it's not perfect. We're talking about a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old. See how the seams are like perfect, but everything's kind of enclosed? We burst the quilt. So we pulled it inside out and then did it, and that's how we had all the edges bound without having to worry about binding. But essentially, you fold it towards the center, right, and then you fold it down roughly to the length of the pocket, and then pretty much you grab the inside corners of it. It's just my stomach, and then you inside out. Straighten it out a little bit. And there's your quilt. It's a quilt, it's a pillow. The front bits were scrap fabrics from like other quilts from other classes that they had. We did the center to match my blanket. And then that's it. I have one. My middle sister was also able to do one, so she has one that she did. My youngest sister was just too young at the time, so my mom had one made for her. So we all three have one of these, and now it's my niece's turn to have one. Now again, same situation as her mother. My niece is too young to sew. She's 1. So Toodles is going to get the same thing, but I don't know. I'm debating if the pocket is too small for that size thing. I don't know. I might do like an extra recut a new one. I don't know. But pretty much, I'm going to add all of the leftover squares from roughly the back, and then do like a plain. It's outside like how my polo was dyed, but the plain outside is going to be matching fabric from the front. Still Winnie the Pooh. There you go. And we're gonna work on that. So I guess I'll just show you the last finishing steps of that, and yeah, worked out. So apparently YouTube is still hard, but now I'm off to Atlanta based upon these clips. Like, this is me like capturing some of the things I've seen in the sky, and I think that actually is Atlanta as I'm landing down. However, I did not get all the footage for that polo bed because I ended up putting her name on the front using my grandmother's fabric that I used as petals, that I embroidered, albeit a little terribly, her name on the front of that quillo. And I did make the quillo. It's done at this point. I just have to kind of finish adding the petals, but it's done. I even made like a bonus pillow to go along with it. You can see off to the side here. And my sister really loved it. I think this is a quilt she'll have it for a long time. And I purposefully made her baby quilt much, much bigger for a 1-year-old because I knew that girl was going to grow pretty quickly. And I was like, okay, next time I make her a quilt, it's got to be a queen or a full. And I want at least to be a few years before she gets to that next quilt. So enjoy these last few shots of Atlanta as I'm trying to get to Savannah and leaving out of Cincinnati. Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you next time. Bye.